browse.
You trying to sell this to people in the wrestling business?
Yes. I don't know if Dutch Mantel would have ever been a star if this had been available in the early 70s. But if you use the Lawnmower 2.0, this is so much better and more improved. It's got a light. It's easier to charge. They've upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. And I mentioned the charging stand, but anyway, it's goddamn incredible. It is revolutionary. And the Cult of Cornette members can get 20% off and free shipping still on this, the Lawnmower 3.0, that's now on sale by using the code JCE at manscaped.com. Manscaped.com, code JCE, 20% off and free shipping to get this. I mean, you can shave your kids with this. And then maybe wipe it off before you go back to your ass. But nevertheless, it's
what the? We've done all these spots from Manscaped. You've never brought up shaving your ass. It's all you've talked about so far.
Well, I'm just telling you, because it's so easy. You don't even have to look where you're going. You can't hurt yourself with this thing. It's soft enough for a baby. You know, you can shave a baby's ass with this thing. You can't hurt yourself. You can light up where you're going. You don't even need to look, though, because you can't hurt yourself anyway, and the hair just falls off. So if you're like me and you're advanced enough in age and have enough injuries to where you can't see all the different parts of your body, you can use this willy-nilly without fear of fucking yourself up.
That's good that you can shave a baby's ass, because I know there are all those hairy-ass babies out there having problems.
They look hairy. They're all
how to shave.
For heaven's sake. Anyway, manscaped.com, folks. Your balls will thank you for it. Speaking of thanking people, we should now stand up and applaud, just real briefly, the House Democrats for bringing to light, even more light, just what a piece of shit our president is. Of course, we also at the same time realize that the Republicans are doing absolutely nothing about it and I'm not even learning anything I didn't know because I've been following this, but they're giving the case for everything this fucking asshole did, when he did it and who he did it with. And they've got witnesses and they've got documents, and the ones they're allowed to get, the ones he hadn't hidden, or the ones he hadn't kept from him because he knows he's guilty of everything that we could possibly think of that a human being could do. He's guilty of it. But Brian, what does it feel like, do you think, now for the average person to have to realize, yes, the president of the United States is everything that we thought he was. He's a fucking, the people that don't watch the news every day and didn't know all this stuff beforehand, they're now realizing, yes, he was a crook. He did all these things that everybody said he did. And the Republicans still won't do anything about it because of one of two reasons. Either they are so scared because they've ridden this horse so long. They have, this jackass, I should say, they have put up for him and put up with him and taken up for him and made excuses for him and act like that he was in any way normal or a human being worthy of our anything but contempt. They've done it so long that now if they come out and actually tell the truth, because they all know they have to deal with him, all the politicians, all the people in Washington, they, I'm sure, are well aware of what they've got. But they can't come out and tell the truth because of one of two things. Either they're afraid people are going to say, well, now you realize he's a fucking asshole and a crook and a liar and a con man and a piece of shit and he doesn't know anything. Suddenly, what took you so fucking long? Are you a fucking idiot? Or they're worried that they're going to get voted out, or they're worried they're going to get voted out by the people who, for whatever genetic defect they have in their brain stem or chemical imbalance that possesses them, the people that still think that this guy should be the president of the United States or the leader of the free world or whatever the fuck, have his finger on the button, the Republican politicians are afraid that those people are going to vote them out. Let's lose the votes of the mentally ill. Boy, that's horrible. That's the only way we're going to stay in office. Is to make sure that the mentally ill people who haven't seen from the start what this fucking piece of pig shit was, everything he was about, everything he does, everything he says, every time he opens his mouth, it's obvious to the normal folks. So they are guarding the Republican senators by what is it, a 53 to 47 majority or whatever. Yeah. They are guarding the votes of the mentally ill that they still think they're going to get, and they don't want normal folks to come out and say, you were either bullshitting all along and you knew what he was and you wouldn't say it, or you just figured it out, which means you're an even bigger idiot and you shouldn't be in public office. So whether they're not going to convict him because all the Republicans, as for the reasons that I mentioned, are going to go down with this fucking guy's ship, this pig fucking piece of shit that's an embarrassment to every American. So since he's not going to get impeached and removed from office, he's been impeached. That'll never go away. A very odd occurrence, unique occurrence in American history, one of only 3 that was so fucking crooked and scummy, although in Clinton's case, that was a blowjob. So that was partisan bullshit also. So really, it was down to Nixon and fucking Jackson and Nixon. The Republicans actually told the truth back then, and they wouldn't even stick up for him. So he didn't actually get impeached. He was just headed in that direction. So basically, Donald Trump, as we knew from the start, is the only president of the United States in the last 160 years that has actually been so egregiously incompetent, crooked, abusive, and overall unfit for office that half the goddamn politicians in the government have had to say something about it. And he ain't going to get convicted because of the Republicans, but more people now are watching the news. More people now are seeing the testimonies. More people now are finding out what everybody else that's been paying attention already knew. I would like to suggest that not only do we vote Donald Trump out of office in November, but that we vote every single Republican member of Congress out of office, because they're obviously treasonous, gutless, spineless, cowardly pieces of shit that are allowing our lives and liberties and freedoms to be impinged on and infringed on and threatened every second of the day that they allow an incompetent, crooked lunatic to play president just because their party won somehow, because the rubes and the hillbillies got scared. I vote they should be the ones to be brought up and impeached on charges of treason for turning their backs on an obvious public menace like a lunatic, deranged idiot in charge of the fucking federal government, just because they don't get upset because their party won. And they can stack up the court with all the fucking judges that will infringe on all of our rights to have children or do anything else for the next fucking 50 years with their backwards caveman bullshit. So anyway.
The biggest problem is not Trump, it's Mitch McConnell.
Well, yes, my Kentucky turtle-faced bitch himself, who's an evil human being and I wish that he would live long enough that they would discover a way to revive the dead so that when he dies, they could bring him back and we could kill him again. Because an evil son of a bitch like that he deserves more than one death. He deserves both the gas chamber and the electric chair if you can't decide between the two. Because he's the one that's keeping this shit operating. Trump obviously can't operate anything. But as soon as the hillbillies elected Trump so he'd take care of their guns, then that gave Mitch McConnell power to do whatever the fuck backwards ass bullshit in his mind he thinks is proper that he wanted to do with the United States of America. And that's what he's done. And that's what he's protecting. They don't want witnesses. They don't want actual proof. They don't want actual testimony or documents. They will, oh, no, he's fine. It's okay. You see a pile of shit. We see a cheeseburger.
Is there any chance that he won't be reelected? Is there any chance that Kentucky will actually not elect him again?
Well, he's supposedly even unpopular according to the polls even here. And he's supposedly one of the most unpopular senators or whatever the fuck, but he still keeps getting elected because, unfortunately, we have here in Kentucky, Louisville and Lexington, and the rest of the state is fucking Hooterville. And they buy this bullshit. this conservative Republican bullshit, hook, line, and saying they think the coal's coming back. So no, you can't get any help from Kentucky until this fucking guy rots of old age. It's almost as bad as Alabama. At least they haven't found Mitch fondling up any little boys or girls in the goddamn mall bathroom. That's probably because his fucking chin's not the only thing that sags on him, but nevertheless, fuck you, Mitch, piece of shit. Embarrassing Kentucky. I wish somebody'd take a fucking lawnmower 3.0 to Mitch and just shave him down. It probably shouldn't take long because he doesn't have any hair on his balls. Anyway, let's bring the fucking mood up a little bit. I got another letter. Do you remember the person that pitched the idea that maybe you could get a babyface wrestler over by stranding him on Mars?
Oh my God! Yeah, that was a while ago.
that was a while back. Well, actually, I'd referred to it a few times, but I mistakenly referred to the guy that had the idea because, as I see now from this email, it was a young lady. Because Stephanie writes, "Dear Mr. Cornette, you may remember me. I'm the girl who pitched you the idea of having a wrestler stranded on Mars in order to get him or her over." And she's got another idea. She says, "I heard that on a recent episode of The Drive-Thru, you've said that while some people may have liked Joey Ryan's dick flips, everyone's seen it by now and is bored of it. I had a booking suggestion on how to solve this problem, which could be done on the Indies or on Impact every week, and really isn't that the same thing, ladies and gentlemen? That's my editorial comment. But done on the Indies or on Impact every week, and was curious to hear your thoughts. The storyline starts with Joey Ryan being patted down by the referee before a match. The referee grabs his crotch, reaches in his trunks, and shockingly pulls out a dildo. It's revealed that Joey never had a magical penis all along. He had a dildo in his pants the whole time that he was using as a foreign object / guard. His opponent then uses this new knowledge and the lack of Joey's dildo to win the match. Throughout the next several shows, Joey continues losing due to opponents utilizing his new lack of dildo to gain an advantage. The constant losses send Joey into a depressive funk, and he considers retirement. But over time, he grows to become more confident in his own penis and begins to win matches more often. The angle culminates in a match where he performs the dickplex with his own penis and wins. He realizes his penis power wasn't in any old dildo, but inside of him and his penis all along, and he ushers in a new era of his career. This angle would freshen up his penis act and give him an underdog story that would let people rally behind him. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether this would work. Also, fuck Joey Janela. Sincerely, Stephanie." So even people who come up with ideas like this do not like jelly Nutella. Stephanie, I gotta be honest with you. I wasn't really a big fan of the Mars storyline with stranding the guy on Mars and of course the inherent disadvantages that would bring. And I'm not really a fan of this idea of it being revealed that Dick Boy's power came from a magic dildo rather than his own little teeny weeny peeny. However, I think you have inadvertently, as some great artists sometimes do, struck a genius idea without even realizing it. Because, Brian, imagine this. Picture me, just follow me on this for a second. Picture this. What if we combine these two angles? And Joey Ryan and his magic penis were the one that we stranded on Mars. Now we've got box office. We could actually, this could be the biggest fundraiser in wrestling, because we could ask people to send in whatever you can. $1, $2, $5. I know some would give $1,000 to basically kickstart the space program to send Joey Ryan and his little teeny weeny peeny to fucking Mars and strand him there. And then we could let Stephanie, the architect of this brilliant angle, figure out a way to get him back. What do you think?
If I could do some